That's a bad word to use this week.
Well, I really thank you all. I know you have everybody in the room. And you'll also I said I thank Art very much. He has thrilled me, and I'm sure he has thrilled all of you. I have to say, you confirm my judgment, for which I am deeply grateful since I am. Anyway, it's your turn now, and those of you who would like to ask a question or make a comment, I'll request it to keep the questions short and keep the comments short so we can hear from our guest. Yes, sir.
Thank you.
Can you state your name?
My name is Ed. I have a twofold question. One relates to the Ten Commandments that you just touched on. And my question is about how 3 of them are declaratory statements and 7 are prohibitions. What does Judaism say about that? The second quick question is about polytheism. How do we look at polytheism in principle? The whole notion of polytheism being out there for some people and actually for more than half of the 7+ billion people on this planet. How do we relate to that? Do we respect it? Do we honor it? Do we just look the other way? What do we do?
Every religion is a complicated phenomenon. When we Westerners, coming from a certain kind of monotheistic font, look at Eastern religions, we see polytheism, and there clearly are polytheistic elements in those traditions. It very much depends, though, what school you were looking at and what teacher you were looking at. There are people in both the Buddhist and Hindu traditions, I would say, who in fact have a deep sense of oneness, of being ultimate oneness about them, and understand that polytheistic stories are more or less tales of the gods to be told, ultimately leading to a unitive purpose. It's those traditions, whether it's Vipassana tradition in Buddhism or whether it's Vedanta in Hinduism, that I have an easier time relating to. When you go to the religion of South India, where it indeed is about multiple gods and the stories are taken more literally, I do have a hard time relating to that. I mean, we Jews have had difficulty both with physical representations of deities and with polytheism for a long time. Remember, the medieval rabbis were certain that Islam was a kosher religion for non-Jews. It was more aniconic than Judaism, more against evictions than Judaism was, and it was absolutely monotheistic. We loved Islam as a religion for Gentiles. Christianity, we weren't so sure of it, because both of the Trinity and because of icons. We didn't know what to do with it. Is it Avodah Zarah? Is it forbidden polytheism like the Bible was denouncing? Or isn't it? But I think we, in the postmodern world in which we live, have a different attitude toward our religions. Religion in the old world, in the pre-modern world, was a zero-sum game. If mine is true, yours is false. We are against them. We have the truth, and they have falsehood. In the postmodern world, when we come back and try to reappropriate religion, I think we're much more interested in what we can learn from one another than we are in whom we have to anathematize or denounce. I don't think we should be in that business. No religion needs me to say you are legitimate or not legitimate. I live inside my own. I will never in my life understand what it means to be a Catholic and take the body and blood of Jesus Christ into me. I will never understand what that's about. Because I'm an outsider to it. I can read 100 tracts on Catholic theology and never understand it. Even more so when it comes to Eastern religion. Because I live inside my own mythic universe. I think we have to accept the limitations of that, learn from one another what we can, techniques, certain kinds of things, and also say, that's beyond the limits of my tradition. I, as a Jew, cannot partake in that act of worship because it offends the rules of my tradition, as you have rules in your tradition, but not to be in the business of condemnation or superiority.
see, two things. One is that if you talk about God in this way, the story I have is this: that there's only one God in the world, and God one day said, "Who am I?" Because there was no one like him in the universe to compare himself to. And he saw about that and said, like a painter goes into this paint and into this paint, trying different things to see what he has can get out of this. I think the story that I'm outlining of God looking to see what God did was to create the universe, basically as an investigation to help him learn himself. And so, if the human race does the best it can be, like you ended your speech on, then that's the point of life. We are helping God find himself.
Thank you. See, the question always is, how much are we able to jump into anthropomorphic language, and how do we mean? It's hard to speak the language of religion, to talk about the truth as we understand it, in just such abstract terms as the oneness of being, or the underlying power of the universe that is manifest and comes to be manifest in the intricacies of the human brain. And so we go back to the language you use, which is beautiful language, but which is anthropomorphic language. I have no objection to it, but I want us to realize that we are doing. I want us to say, yes, I'm a human being. I stand in the face of the wonder that is this universe, and I want to respond and I want to serve. I don't know how to do that without personifying it. Therefore, I will allow myself to personify and say lovely things like that which you just said. I need that footnote of understanding of what I'm doing.
Helen Lord Ross.
Thank you, Helen Fine. It's one of the things that's so exciting about hearing you speak is the way you weave together such deep knowledge of the Jewish text into a way of speaking, actually a very universalist message. And I would like to know how this theology, how this theological stance bears on projects of the particularist Jewish projects. How it either inspires or justifies the incredible hard work of learning the Jewish textual tradition and making sense of it. The hard work of learning what it means to use the Jewish word of prayer, of acting out the Jewish sort of way of acting life. And if you could speak to that.
Thank you. Great question. Yes, I believe we are a particular people with a universalist message. I believe that we are still a covenanted people, though I do not believe in a God who came out of the heaven and made a covenant with us. I believe we made the covenant. I believe the covenant was our idea. I still find myself bound to that covenant. That is to say, we are here to be a holy people and to be a teaching people. And I think the essential truths we have to teach are the truth of the oneness of being. That's how I understand the meaning of Shema Yisrael. And the fact that every human being is the divine image, and therefore the sacredness of every human life, and so on. I think that is our essential message to the world. Jews still know that very well, by the way. It's not accidental that Jews are in the leadership of every human rights and civil rights and human betterment organization, because that message is very deeply ingrained in the Jewish soul, even among Jews who consider themselves secular or are alienated in the tradition. There is a sense, partly conveyed by those teachings, partly conveyed by the memory of the Exodus from Egypt, partly conveyed by much more recent suffering, of course, that we have that message to convey. message is born by a particular people. If that people doesn't survive, and its legacy doesn't survive, that message will not, that nuance of that message. Of course, there are other people who have good values in the world. I'm not saying there aren't. But I'm saying we have a particular nuance of that universal message that I believe is part of what the human community needs from us. And for us to be bearers of that message, continuity of our historic memory is important. And that means the texts, and that means the traditions, and that means that which we pass on. As you know, I'm far from being an Orthodox Jew in my life. I wear the mantle of tradition somewhat loosely as it seems to fit best. But I train rabbis in a very highly textual manner. I want them to know the text. I want them to be able to read the sources. I want those sources to live as they have for a long time. And in order for them to live, they have to be able to read them in the original, we interpret them out of the original context. And so we must continue to train at least an elite within our people, whether it's day school kids or future rabbis or other future leaders who can have access to that tradition. I don't want that tradition to belong only to university scholars who are committed just to dispassionate study, but not to its furtherance and survival. It's why I twice left tenure university positions to go teach future rabbis in little struggling seminaries. Because I think that's what we have to do. I really believe in that continuity, but that continuity always has to be about enabling us to convey the universal message. Sometimes I worry that my students, these future rabbis, will spend 90% of their careers on keeping the Jewish thing going, and not have much energy for the 10% of their careers that are about conveying those values. That's an ongoing